yet. I sent it over to them. She ain't respond. Either that or we gotta go to state. Yeah. I call and then I text you. Hello.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you good. Can you hear me?
I can. Let me get Angela. Just one moment, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But and I'll pay you for your, I don't want to give you this time, but I back after that. Right. I know. I owe you so much, dear. I love you. Thank you. All right. All right. Okay. I'll call you back as soon as I'm done. Bye. Are we actually? Oh, we're just doing it on the phone? Yeah. Hi there. So sorry. I don't know if you can see me or not. Usually I do it from the bar, and today I was like, can we do it at my house? Yeah. How are you?
All right. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm been up since 6 o'clock this morning and going strong. So I'm exhausted, but I keep fighting. So.
All righty. Okay. And your video has gone viral. And I know due to the, the COVID-19, a lot of businesses are being affected. Some still winning, some, are losing due to the pandemic. But I hope this pandemic don't last. And I hope a lot of businesses can recover.
Yeah. I mean, from where I'm sitting, I don't see that happening, 110,000 restaurants in LA County are never going to reopen again. There's only 31,000 of us that had outdoor dining. And when I talk to those restaurateurs, they have maybe a month left of money. So I hope that we recover quickly. I just don't believe that there's a vision from our leaders or a plan on how to make that happen, because they're not even addressing the reality of the economic destruction that's taking place.
Wow. Well, I told a great friend of mine about you. His name is Gordon Bazard. Actually, he's in your neck of the woods in California.
Nice.
And, he's in the private equity industry, and he generates millions of dollars in that space. And he loves what you're doing in the restaurant industry. So he wants to see if y'all can create value for one another, by doing the conference call and see where you are and see how, he can contribute value to you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. I feel like this moment was a God moment. I didn't plan that video to go viral, but I work in a pub, and I have all the business owners and all the employees come into my place, and I've been hearing all year long about how bad it is. Plus, I was experiencing it myself. So I do feel like as long as people will listen, I will talk, and I will talk on behalf of people sending emails and other businesses, because it's really, really scary. Where are you at?
Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Wow. How's it going there?
Well, they shut down, the restaurants here too, but you can like order on the curb or, doing Grubhub and things of that nature.
Yeah, that's where we're at. It's when you're a brick and mortar restaurant and you're not set up for to go. For me, anyway, I was losing 90% of my revenue. So, I mean, restaurants are margin thin. narrow, thin, anyway, as far as profits go. But when you remove 90% of that income, you just you're bleeding cash every month. And
Yes.
that's why a lot of people can't make it through the to-go. You know, it
Mm.
costs us a lot of money to, like my bookkeeper said, because I had done to-go before
Mm-hmm.
when this first went down, and I did it to keep my staff employed, to keep the community in contact. In
Mm-hmm.
LA, we have a lot of not just older, but people that are alone, and all their family is, you know, back somewhere else. So it's very important for them to connect, and they make their own little kind of misfit family through the pub. And um, but I was losing, you know, 30,000 a month, 20,000 a month. And so my bookkeeper said, we don't have enough money left to do to-go again. You know, if you do that, we won't make it to when it's time to open outdoors, you know, because what he was seeing and predicting with the cases are, he works for doctors, and he's looking at the charts that they're looking at from the groups that they go to. And he predicted the numbers would be this high, but he's saying it's not going to taper down until end of June, beginning of February. And then if we're lucky, we'll be able to go outdoors again around that time.
Mm.
Which is, in my pub, February is one of my slowest months. So yeah, it's pretty scary. It's not just us, it's tattoo shops, it's hair salons, hairdressers, estheticians,
Mm.
acting schools. I know somebody who's a prominent acting teacher. I mean, when he passes, they'll write books about him. He has 3 acting studios, and he's lost 2 of them now because he cannot bring students in,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and even though they're doing Zoom classes and stuff to try to sustain,
Mm-hmm.
basically they don't get new students off of that. And then not as many people are doing it virtually. So they're running kind of like we are with to-go. They're bringing some money in, but it's not enough to pay the rent. And all the rents are still due. Like most landlords are not working with you. I don't know how it is there, but here they're not. They're saying, well, sorry, you still owe the rent. You know?
Mm. Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, let me give you a formal, proper introduction to my audience. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Arthur Robinson Jr. I'm the creator and host of the Powerful Interviews podcast show. And today I have another special interview for each and every one of you. Today I have a wonderful person on the show. She's a great friend of mine. Her name is Angela Marsden. And for those that don't know Angela, let me explain to each and every one of you about this incredible, phenomenal woman. Angela Marsden, she's a restaurant owner, and the name of her restaurant is called the Pineapple Hill Saloon and Grill. And she's been in the restaurant business for several years now. But, you know, due to the pandemic in California, she's actually been shut down. Other restaurant owners has been affected. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome the one, the only, the beautiful Angela Marsden to the
Oh,
show.
thank you, Arthur.
Well, I'd
Thank
like to
you.
thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience worldwide about what you're going through with your restaurant and about the
Yeah.
shutdowns and the pandemics. I gladly appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you and anybody that gets the word out to kind of shed a light on what's going on.
Can you explain to the audience in layman's terms, who is the beautiful Angela Marsden? How long you been in your powerful industry? And what is your expertise?
You know, I am from Indiana originally. I've been in LA 28 years.
Mhm.
My first job in the restaurant industry was 15 at Bob's Big Boy, waiting tables. I'm currently 48.
Mhm.
So 30 some years. I know we'd have to do the math. I guess I should keep track. But, you know, I moved to California to pursue acting. I was a single mom with a child. Actually, my son was 2 when I moved out. I was not getting child support or any help. So through my journeys of, you know, trying to show my son, you know, follow your dreams no matter what and don't give up. A lot of people said you know, I was crazy moving to LA, not knowing anybody with a child to pursue these goals, you know.
Mhm.
But the restaurant industry afforded me that ability. As a matter of fact, independent restaurants across the country hire 1 million single parents.
Mhm.
So when you talk about who this is really affecting. It's the single parents. They also, the independent restaurant industry is the #1 industry for hiring the most minority managers. So it's interesting to me when politicians go on and they, you know, they care about women and they care about minorities and they want, but yet they're targeting the very business that employs them. So I'm very passionate about how I feel because I, as a single mom, was able to have a really good life in LA, raising my child, bartending, waiting tables. I worked for Jim Beam as a sales rep at one point. I owned my first bar at like 30, and that was a bar that had no food. I took a little bit of a break. I went into real estate thinking I wanted to get out of it, you know, and then the market crashed in real estate, and I was having peaceful dreams of serving breakfast and pouring hot coffee into people's cups. And I thought, I got to go back to what I know and like what brings me joy, you know, which really the restaurant industry brings me a lot of joy because I love, like most people in our small business community, we love people and we love our community and we love making them, you know, smile when they're having a bad day or introducing someone to another person that you know is going to change their life. I mean, or talking to the older person that comes into the pub that has no family and they come in just to eat and talk and they get to know the servers and they become like family, you know, and we look out for them. So returning back, I returned, you know, coming from the housing market, I ended up with a silent partner of mine who was an acting teacher at the time. His sister, who was a good friend of mine, had gotten stage 4 lung cancer. She was in her early 30s and she was a single mom and the father wasn't in the picture. And so my partner at the time knew that, you know, real estate was rocky at that time for me. I was going through a hard time. I was helping raise money through a foundation that I had started at the time to help them. So she would have every chance to fight for her life. You know, he said to me, Ange, you know, restaurants, you know, bars, and we both need the help. So if I can get us a loan, we got a loan at 10% interest. He's like, let's do that. And then maybe it will help me with Kim while she's trying to get better and it will help you as well. And it just all came together. It was really like, you know, meant to be. I definitely believe in higher powers. And it was really meant to be, you know. So we've had it for 10 years. The pub that I took over, has been there since 1978. We're the third owners. We've had it for 10 years. Again, I'm the operating running partner. He's more on the silent side. And it's been a struggle in LA, let me tell you. In the beginning years, it was fabulous. And, you know, we were doing really well. And then you get a lot of handicap lawsuits that started happening. And then you also had minimum wage going up gradually now. And on a small business, that's really hard because now your hamburger goes from $10, $11 to $20 because you got to make up for the payroll. So that was already hard. And we were already losing small businesses at a big number here in LA before the pandemic because of that. And then the pandemic just topped it off. It's just wiped out so many businesses.
Wow. Now, is your son going to follow your footsteps in regards to getting in the restaurant business?
You know, he worked for me up until, it was ironic, up until March or right before March, he decided to move back to Indiana because he said, Mom, it's a better quality life. Like I can't afford to live out here, you know, and he, yeah, he's a really great bartender. And right now he's back in Indiana and he was bartending there. He's in Fort Wayne, where I'm from, near all my family. But he keeps getting shut down there too, you know, so it's still hard. So I definitely think he's going to.
Wow. Now, your video has gone viral all over the world. And, you know, I know they shut you down among other restaurant owners. And then y'all was actually setting up, you know, a nice exclusive area on the outside of your diner. But then they also, you know, came with laws where y'all was being restricted, where, you know, serving y'all current customers, you know, food and beverages. Can you take the audience back down memory lane about that video and what inspired you to create that video in regards to getting your message out to the world on a national and an international level?
Well, I had no idea that that video was going to go viral, like none.
Mm,
Um, it's a long progression of constantly having to change things. Nobody's giving you money to help you.
mm,
Seeing my staff's unemployment running out, other businesses literally going under all around me, and hearing their stories as they come into my pub got me, when they did the shutting down 2 days before Thanksgiving.
mm,
I just, something awoke in me, and I was so distraught in the beginning. I was very upset. Here I've got to tell my staff that we can't afford to keep you going through to go. And I have to furlough you right before Christmas with no notice. I mean, I have, like I said, just hired a newly bartender, single mom of a 3-year-old.
mm,
She's run out of her unemployment. She can't pay her rent. She's been trying to get jobs all year. I finally hired her because we were finally busy in October. People loved the outdoor patio. And we finally turned a profit the month before they shut us down again.
mm,
And so I was very depressed. I talked to my mom back in Indiana the week of Thanksgiving. I told my staff, my manager, Lindsay, was crying. She's like, I'm scared. I have 1 week left of unemployment. She has a little boy. What am I going to do? And I just said, Lindsay, you know me, they're not going to, I always say, I'm like a cockroach. They will never kill me. We will come back. We will reopen. And I was just trying to be strong. And then I would go home and cry and be very depressed and be like, oh, geez, one day at a time, Lord, one day at a time, and just hope a miracle happens. But my mom said, this time around, maybe you should just come back to Indiana and lay low. If you have to walk away from everything and live with us and start all over, then that's what you got to do. So I think it was Black Friday after I had shut down and went to go for Thanksgiving because we had had all that food.
mm,
I got up and I thought I need to do something for myself because I'm depressed, and I like maybe I'll do retail shopping or something. And to my surprise, the mall was open on Black Friday, and I went to the mall. No temperature check, no plastic face shields, no gloves, not any store I went into, everybody was kind of just doing their thing. They did have face masks on, but there weren't like social distancing, people making sure everybody was okay.
mm,
And I was able to try on any clothes I wanted from any store. They're telling me I can't even give you a reuse a menu without disinfecting it, or it has to be paper to throw it away. But I can go and try on the same clothes that somebody else may have tried on indoors at the mall. And I just was like, I called my mom after she'd booked me a ticket home. I said, Mom, I'm still going to try to come home, but I can't just leave LA.
mm,
Like I thought about it and I thought about it. And I was like, people are fleeing in mass numbers from California right now, especially LA. Most of the people I know, they're in Tennessee, they're in Texas, they're getting out.
mm,
And I thought, I got angry and I was like, but why? Why is nobody standing up for this beautiful place that I've called home for 28 years? Why do the people that are making these decisions and ruining our city, get to stay and we go under and we have to flee to another state? Like I just said, I have to start speaking out. I have to start telling the truth. And that night I got on Facebook and I was just like rambling on, which I never do because I love all people. I don't care what your religion is. I don't care what your ethnicity is. A pub is a community of people of all different walks of life, and they create a family, and they're there for each other. And so I was always afraid that if I spoke out, people would think, I'm a no masker, or I don't believe COVID's real, or I don't care about them. And so, in the service industry, we always serve others. We're the last people then to say we need help. And so I got on that Friday, and that Friday is when something clicked where I said, I don't care what anybody thinks. The truth is the truth. The truth will shine through. And I'm just going to start telling people exactly what's going on. because I don't think there's going to be a community left for them to come back to once we all get vaccinated and come out of our homes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that really got me going. And then what happened is I had told my staff, you know, we're a bi-weekly payroll, that Friday they could come in for their last checks. And I had bags of groceries for them. And I had some friends there doing protest signs. I'd never done a protest in my life, ever. But I decided maybe I need to do a protest to get people to hear what's going on, you know? So I came in that Friday morning and I pulled into my parking lot, which is a big shopping center. And to the right of me was my shuttered patio. And to the left was a 200-person tent to feed people with a catering truck for the TV show. And I was in shock. When you see the visual and you're like 20 steps away from the very same thing that they're telling you is so dangerous, that Sheila Kuehl, who is on the board of supervisors, was the deciding vote and gave a big speech about how dangerous eating outdoors and outdoor patios are. And then she goes and eats outdoors the next day after shutting us down, you know, and the city gives a permit for the television company to do a catering right in my very parking lot, 20 steps away from me, identical to what I'm doing. You're in shock. And you really do feel at that point, is this deliberate? Like, so every time I go to get my head above water, you give me something else I got to do and you knock me to the ground. And now I'm knocked on the ground and you come over and you kick me in the stomach. You know, it felt like I mean, I said it that day in that video because I was just emotion coming out, but it was like a smack in the face, you know? And so I was in shock and I went in and again, in your mind, you're saying, be strong for your staff. Don't make a big deal of anything. Just reassure them that we're going to get through and we're going to open. And, you know, a few of them were there. I went to turn the lights on and I just broke down. I just started crying. I was crying and I just thought, no, I can't pretend everything's going to be okay. And I got to tell the truth. And I looked at my staff and one of them was hugging me and I said, this isn't right. This is not right. You know, people can't pay the rent. They can't eat. They're going to have no Christmas. And it's not just restaurants. They're doing it to hair salons. They're doing it, you know, it wasn't just us. You know, I represent bars and restaurants because that's what I do, but I represent all the small businesses that are going through this, you know, with no flicker of a thought, no notice, no money to sustain, you know, no package passed, and they're going to shut you down and just say good luck. And then allow other, you know, Amazon and Costco and Target and all these big corporations to open up and stay open because they're deemed essential. You know, Best Buy is open. It's deemed essential. TJ Maxx for Christmas shopping is open. It's essential and we're not.
And supermarkets is open too, and Walmart.
Exactly. And there's no temperature check and they're not wearing plastic face shields. And at Costco, you can get a piece of pizza, take your mask off and eat it as you're walking out shoulder to shoulder with people. Like Michael Rappaport actually did a video that I laughed my butt off at. And he basically in support of me, but he was saying, look, the flea markets are wide open and there's music playing and people can buy food and walk around and eat and just remove their mask and eat at the flea market, at the farmers markets right now. So I told my girlfriend, I said, enough's enough. I said, my phone sucks. Would you please just follow me? Because I want my customers and my people in my neighborhood to know that when they see me protesting and when they see me speaking out, this is why. I love them. I care about them. I know COVID's real. I want to do everything safe for them, but somebody has to speak out, you know? And so I did the video. Now, we just put it up on our Facebook and Instagram. I think it was an influencer, Coco, I forget his first name, that actually first shared it. And then it was shared by Donald Trump Jr. And that is really, those two people are the reason why it went viral. Like I had no idea, none, that was going to happen. You know,
Did Donald Trump Jr., did he ever contact you?
He has not contacted me. He retweeted it in support. I know that Maria Shriver and Bobby Shriver, her son, they also shared the video. But but no, they haven't. Nobody's contacted me personally or directly.
Mm.
Not Garcetti, not Newsom, not one person within our legislature in California has reached out to me. It's kind of crazy, I think. But typical. This is what I've come to learn about the people that are in charge, you know, especially in our state. Like, typical. They
Mm.
don't care. There's no forethought. It's just these grand ideas of appeasement with no forethought about how they're actually going to play out in people's lives. You know, it's
Mm.
pretty crazy. So, but yeah, so it went viral. The news was at my door right away. My phone was ringing off the hook. It's been a crazy ride since, you know.
Yes, I seen that powerful video that you did on the Fox Business Channel, and
Thank you.
you know your story right now. That's your brand identity.
Yeah, I guess so. That's what people are telling me. But you know what it really comes down to is it's not about politics, it's about people.
Mm.
You know, my mom worked her whole life at a bread factory just to have a retirement and have a decent life, you know. She was always about loyalty, always about family. And I just see so much hurt and struggling going on, and nobody really is thinking about the people. You know, it's slogans and it's catchphrases. And the reality is, it's people that you're hurting, people that are suffering, that can't eat. You know, I was reading an article, you know, I'm not very good with saying this, an economical article or, you know,
Mm.
economist, you
Mm.
know, and he's predicting something worse than the Great Depression,
Mm.
worse than the Great Depression. And it's almost like there are two disasters right now. We have a virus that we're contending to, and then we have the economic um, situation that is there. And we've been pitted against each other because if you want people to work and survive, and you want to admit basically that stay at home is a farce for
Mm.
most people, we have to get up and go to work as we don't eat. We can't pay our rent. We don't have even 3 months worth of savings to cover an emergency, let alone 10 months,
Mm.
you know, and then you've got the people that can work from home or that do have family that can take care of them. And they've pitted us against each other. Like if you're somebody that is for working and being safe and living with the virus, that means you want people to die, you know. And if you're somebody that has a job at home and has the privilege of being able to stay at home as much as you can, then you're an awful person because you're not, you know, seeing what the rest of us are going through. And I think unity, you know, is so important right now for us to get politics out of it and for us as people to unite and support each other, you know. And I think that's what's amazing about America and this country. Like yeah, we've got some bad things that we've kind of had to overcome, but we always as people come together and overcome it and we evolve,
Mm.
you know. This I'm scared of because like I said, nobody is really aware of what's about to come, because we're all focused on the vaccine and we're focused on the virus and we're focused on the deaths and the numbers. Meanwhile, they're about ready to pull eviction in February. I don't know about there,
Mm-hmm.
but in February, they can start evicting people that haven't paid rent.
Wow,
Do you know how many people haven't paid rent? Do
that's
you know
going to
how many
be a
people,
huge
like,
epidemic across the world.
oh, it's going to be across the world because you've got, I even have, I get an array of people. So I'm lucky, you know, I get to hear all the different sides, you know. And I have a woman that comes in and she a big management company that oversees some commercial and oversees like small mom and pop apartment buildings that maybe like one of her clients has an apartment building of like 50 units that's been in her family forever. And that's kind of what she lives off of. The reason why the landlords are not giving breaks is because the big banks will not give them any money to sustain. And now all their tenants aren't paying rent. So the commercial properties, and I know this is getting digressing, but it's so important to understand that the person that owns the apartment buildings may have a loan, and they've got to make their loan payment and their taxes still, and the bank won't work with them. So they're still trying to get the rents, but 70% of the people are not paying rent. And then the caveat is, supposedly you'll get 1 year to pay up the back rent. Well, think about it. You're a bartender, you're a server, you're, you know, a yoga teacher, or, you know, there's so many examples that I know is just like, it's losing right now. And you're behind rent that costs you, you know, my rent's $1,800 a month. So I get behind even 4 months. I owe thousands of dollars. And now you're telling me I have to pay full rent and pay off that in a year, but you have no unemployment left and no job to go to in your industry because your industry's been wiped out and you don't have other skills to work from Zoom. So this is like a tidal wave that's about to hit us. You know, I'd say after April into May, because once they pull the evictions, they got another 3 or 4 months to sit in those apartments before they have to get out. But you know, think of the homelessness. Think of the mother, the single parents with children. What are they going to do? Like, it's very, very scary if you look at it in that way. If you look at it as a whole picture and not just one business, because it isn't just one business, you know?
Absolutely. It's a global disaster. And, you
Yeah.
know, a real tsunami is about to hit, you know, a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners. Now,
Yeah.
of course, the big businesses, you know, they still generating, you know, top line revenue, but the small business owners are being affected. And I think the banks need to work with the entrepreneurs that own commercial real estate, like apartment buildings.
Yeah,
And,
I agree.
you know, it's a lot of people being affected. Like you said, unemployment, it's over 40 million Americans on the unemployment line right now. And it's still growing because, you know, where they was working at, they're being, you know, affected by the, you know, the COVID-19, or a lot of people are afraid with working with people that have COVID-19. So, you know, either they, you know, resigning, or, you know, they're just losing their jobs. And that's unfortunate for people that depend on that type of revenue. And then people that depend on Social Security, which, you know, those pensions might be, you know, going under real soon as well.
You
So
know, it
thrive.
doesn't it feel like, I mean, to me,
Mhm.
I tell people, you know, we have an invisible enemy and we're at war, you know, and what has happened is this invisible enemy has really figured out how to divide us from one another.
Mhm.
And I think the biggest story of COVID is going to be obviously deaths and the virus. That's important. But how we as a country were pitted against each other and we destroyed ourselves from the inside out.
Now, where's your
You know,
restaurant located in California?
in Sherman Oaks, California. So we're in the valley,
Mm.
just over the hill from Santa Monica and the west side.
Now,
About
is
25
that far
minutes.
from Beverly Hills?
Not that far. We're about 25 minutes over the hill to Beverly Hills. Yep.
Okay. So with your customer avatar, in terms of your community, are they coming directly from your community? Or are they coming from Beverly Hills or Bel Air? Or y'all get
No,
people
directly
all over?
from I mean, I get people that, well, if they're coming in for meetings in the valley
Mhm.
from Beverly Hills or from the west side, they'll stop at my place and have, you know, it's a middle place where people can meet for meetings.
Mhm.
But we really are like the cheers in the neighborhood. So we have people that have been coming in. I have a group of attorneys that's been sitting at the same table since in the 80s.
Mm.
We get a lot of people that work within the industry. We get a lot of people that are behind the camera that come in.
Mhm.
We also have a lot of people moving from all over to, you know, go after their dreams of music and acting. So we get a lot of the younger seen in at night. But really all from within our community. We really are like a local, you know, cheers, so to say, you know.
Mm. Wow.
Yeah.
Angela, can you explain to the audience in your own influential way, what is the best advice that you have ever received?
Oh, That's a hard one. I guess my mom, I mean, I've gotten some other advice from people that help me in different areas. But my mom has always said, Angela, just tell the truth,
Mm,
and if you have honest intentions and you're speaking from your heart and you're telling the truth, it may hurt, but people will respect that in the long run. And she said, and people need hope. So she said, no matter how dark it gets, as long as you have hope, you have faith, and every day you don't give up, you just keep going, change will come.
mm,
Um, and she was telling me this actually, it was like a day or so after this happened. I was crying. I was crying out of gratitude and being humbled for people all over the world taking notice, but also crying out of being scared of like, I hope that I can speak and say the right things. And my mom's just she's like, Angela, just tell people that there's hope and not to give up. Don't ever give up. Um, so I think that coming from my mom, there's one legal thing that somebody taught me
mm,
that is not necessarily similar to that, but I had somebody tell me years ago, because I always said, look, I don't have a big fancy degree, and when people start talking, I get intimidated, and I'm like, I don't understand what they're saying, if an attorney's talking, or a judge, or anybody, that uses all these fancy terms. And the gentleman told me, Angela, we're all the same. It doesn't matter what our educational level is. And if somebody is doing that, they're just using words to confuse you and
mm,
not be directly honest. So he said, I advise you to always tell somebody when they're talking and using these words and you're not understanding, to just say, look, I'm not like you. I don't have a big PhD. I don't even have a 4-year degree. So could you just talk to me like I'm in kindergarten and explain it to me in those terms? And
mm,
he said, whenever you do that, it boils down to simplicity and the truth, you know? So as far as business goes, that's one of the best pieces of advice that I've ever gotten. And I do it all the time because it's the truth, you
mm.
know? Yeah.
But that's good that you have that support mechanism, coming from your mother. And we all need that as entrepreneurs and business owners. Now, can
We
you
need our
explain?
community. If I can say one thing,
Mhm,
right now, to me, the biggest way to stop the bleeding and to help is for communities, your own little communities, to get together and either have the businesses do GoFundMe's, or somebody central start a foundation that's going to help these businesses sustain, and the community come together and support the small businesses and each other.
mm,
That I think would make a huge difference, because again, it's about the people. We the people, we stand united, and we truly will help each other in times of desperation and need.
mm. Now, can you explain to the audience how much did you invest in your liquor license? Is your liquor license being affected? And how do you feel about the mayor in California? And do you feel as though that the mayor and his colleagues are actually helping entrepreneurs and business owners in regards to this pandemic?
Absolutely not. So I'll tell you, I had to take out, like, the old owners carried part of the loan, and then I got a loan at 10% interest for someone else. The liquor license itself at that time was worth maybe 100,000, but the business itself cost me 450,000, 10% interest, of which the first 3 years I never even took a manager's salary. I worked as a bartender because the goal was to pay it off as soon as possible, and this would be my retirement. Um, we are set to have that paid off in June of 2021, but now we've got all this other debt. We're behind 60,000 on rent, 30,000 on goods. I took out a $150,000 loan. So the debt's all right back there, and that's where we're at with that. But no, I don't think Mayor Garcetti is business friendly. As
Mm,
a matter of fact, here's a good example. Here's what happens. So we're in a gradual minimum wage hike, right?
Mm-hmm.
And small business owners were set to go up $1 more an hour in June. The corporations already did that raise, but they took the small business owners, and we come after. Not one person, not Mayor Garcetti, not anybody stepped up and said, we're in the middle of a pandemic. We've lost half our, 61% of our small businesses in restaurants were gone in September.
Mm.
Maybe we should freeze the dollar pay hike just till we get through the pandemic. Now, to me, that's good management. That's caring in a time when the reality is we know the businesses are taking a loss and they're going to go under, right?
Mm-hmm.
Never mentioned, never brought up. So when people say to me, what do I think about Mayor Garcetti? What do I think about Gavin Newsom? I try to put it in a way, a layman's term. If you had somebody that was managing your job, or was a manager at a restaurant or manager at a bar, and they were stealing everything, and they were mismanaging and treating people poorly and making decisions that basically were going to tank the business and also were hurting the employees, you would fire them for mismanagement, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we have people in charge that are they're either deliberately doing this, which I don't know why anybody would do that, or they basically are so out of touch in their ivory castles that they are grossly mismanaging this crisis to the point of, it's interesting because the Restaurant Association, we won, but I don't know if you know that, but we took the city over this decision to the courts, and we won. But Newsom's stay-at-home orders are now keeping us in. And why do we not, as business owners, just open up? Some of us are doing that because the liquor license is at risk. So they're saying if we open up, they will pull our liquor license permanently and we'll never be able to hold a liquor license again, which means in my business, I'm done in LA. I won't be able to make a living here. So that's why I'm very careful at not just opening up. It's not about being arrested. The sheriffs are already on our side. And if they're going to arrest me, let them arrest me. But it's losing the license. And then, I know a tattoo owner, good example. They didn't tell them how to open, when they could open. They had no idea, months on end being closed, appealing to the governor, please let us open. Please, we can open safely. Oh, excuses. So he opens up and does a few under the table tattoos because he still has to pay rent. The landlord still wants the rent. He gets in trouble. He gets 2 misdemeanors and a $10,000 fine. And he's told if he opens again that they will permanently take his license from him. He then has to hire an attorney, which cost him $40,000 to get rid of the misdemeanors and still has to pay the fine. I don't have $50,000 or even 60 to try to fight and get my license back and have a chance to live in LA and make a living again. And most small business owners don't, and they know that. It's like we're low-hanging fruit. They know that we don't have the funds to fight them. So that's why it's the liquor license is very valuable. They're very hard to get, and it's a very big risk to do that. And they know that. But ironically, when you do the numbers, if you look at the numbers from the cases, this is science, right? From New York, where they did tracking and everything on indoor. This is indoor. It was like 1.2% were coming from bars and restaurants. In LA, the judge cited that 3.1% was coming from bars. This is indoors, bars and restaurants. And of the 3.1%, half of it, or more than half of it, was actually coming from fast food chain restaurants. And it was employees because they had to stand right next to each other in the to-go window. So the science doesn't back what they are doing, so that to me is gross mismanagement, right? Gross mismanagement. No risk assessment for suicides, overdoses, people being thrown out in the street, the homeless doubling versus the percentage or chance of somebody getting this virus, and then the percentage or chance of them actually dying. I mean, it's awful and it's horrible. And I don't deny that it exists. It's there. My sister had COVID. My dad has COPD and non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If he gets it, he probably won't survive.
Mm.
I have tuberculosis. I was told I should not be out working in the public. And I laughed at my doctor and
But you
said,
have
well,
TB.
the other half of us don't have a choice. You
Mm.
know, what was that?
Oh, you have active TB.
I have, it's not active. They suppressed it. So with TB, they never get it out of your system. They basically give you, you have about 4 or 5 cocktails that will suppress it, but it's in your body and it suppresses to about 96%. But it can reactivate if you, like, say, if I was taking immunocompromised medication, I wouldn't really be able to take it because if my immune suppressed more, it will reactivate the TB. So from my doctor's standpoint, he's like, look, if you get COVID and they have to give you medications for COVID, if there is any, the medications could lower your immune system, which could reactivate the TB.
Mm.
Then you've got tuberculosis and COVID, and that's not a good combination. Um, but again, it's the farce and the fantasy. I don't know what your friends do for a living.
Mm.
Um, but this whole like farce of we're all going to stay at home, but no, we're not going to pay you, but we all have that option is just a lie.
Mm.
Because 50% of us that work in laboring jobs and service, police officers, trashmen, postal service workers, restaurant owners, small business owners, we don't have an option to stay home. So quit selling this freaking fantasy that doesn't exist for the rest of the country. You're lying when you say we're going to do stay-at-home orders, and now that we're starving you and we're giving you no money to pay your rent, we're even going to give you a misdemeanor if you go outside. Like, it's a joke. It's a joke, and we all know it's a joke. We all know COVID's bad, but where are the tools? They knew back in March, right, that winter was going to be bad. They were telling me in March, winter's going to be bad, right?
Mm.
So where are the solutions and where are the compromises that keep us as safe as we can be while still supporting our families?
Absolutely. They need to provide solutions to the entrepreneurs' problems. And that's
Yes,
what will get this economy, rocking and rolling again, because it's all about
absolutely.
commerce. It's all about, exchange of goods and services.
Yeah, exactly. There's an analogy that I have been using lately, and I say, listen, the body has a heart, right?
Mhm.
And the heart of the community is small businesses. We're the ones that do fundraisers. We're the ones that helps the older, gentleman that has no family, that we're the ones that are boots on the ground for our community. And we're the heart of the body, we're the heart of the community. And if you rip the heart out, the body no longer lives, right?
Mm.
And that's what they're doing. They're ripping the heart out of America and of our communities, and telling us that, oh, that's okay because corporations, they can handle it all. They don't care. Corporations don't care about the community. They don't care about the individual people, you know?
Now, did you apply for PPP loans for your
I
company?
did. I did. I was very lucky. Here's the other dilemma with small businesses. And I actually was speaking to somebody in Washington, and I think in this new package, they're going to try to loosen it up. But you have a lot of entrepreneurs that are 1099. You have a lot of small businesses that we do it all. You can't afford a bookkeeper. If you have a bookkeeper, you can't afford a home. So we're trying to do our own books. We're trying to do marketing. We're trying to interact with the customers. So we've got a lot on our plate. And I'm very lucky because I made the decision from owning my last bar. There was some issues that came up, and I just said, I don't care. I'll take the hit. I'm going to pay a bookkeeper. So I have a national, I use ADP for my payroll, and I have a bookkeeper on top of it. And it cost me quite a bit. But my paperwork was very pristine, and he was able to spend the time trying to get it through, which still was the most stressful thing in the world. And I did get 100,000 in PPP, which covered about 2 months of my payroll and rent.
Mm.
2 months, that's it. And we've got a disaster loan that I have to pay back. That's a loan that we've been living off of.
Mm.
I know so many people, so many small businesses that got nothing because, again, we go back to community. there were not anybody appointed within the communities to sit and you could call or Zoom with or go to, and they would help you with this paperwork. You know, so if you don't have help with the paperwork and all you can do is call someone you don't know on a phone that you can't understand or upload paperwork, and if one piece is wrong, you get denied, a lot of small businesses aren't going to get it. So what was that about? You roll this program out that makes it impossible for somebody that's 1099 or somebody that has a small business to get you the required paperwork, and then they don't get the funds, but the big corporations do. I mean, I'm living in a state where the governor, where Newsom has 8 companies, 8 smaller companies, of which got $3 million combined in PPP. His winery has 15 employees. That was the size of mine. And they got $918,000 in PPP for a company with 15 employees. It's scandalous. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, I know, a bar owner of Sullivan's who has a master's in business who couldn't get it because she couldn't get the paperwork right. I know a designer that works with restaurants who has her design companies all, 1099. And they're not helping the 1099 people really. They're getting denied left and right. So, I did speak with someone, and they sent me the bill over because I've been speaking with some people in Washington. And I said, this is outrageous. When you guys were giving arm loans that destroyed everybody, all you needed was a driver's license, a social security card, and a year of taxes or 1099, and you could get $600,000 on a loan to buy a house, right? But now you have money that's needed for the survival of these businesses, and you can't do it that way. You can't just check their business permit and their 1099 and know that they have a legitimate business and give them the money they need. You've got to require all these other things that's impossible for them to provide. It's outrageous.
They put you through a lot of red tape in order to get a loan.
So much red tape.
And like what you were saying, the big businesses are not being affected because the Internal Revenue Tax Code is designed for the wealthy entrepreneurs and the big companies that run the world. Like, for example, the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, he's worth over $100 billion, but he doesn't pay zero in taxes. Isn't that something?
It is something, and I think it's a very complex problem because what I see is they do a blanket law that's supposed to affect everybody, right, for taxes. But if you're billionaires, you just move to another country or another state. Like you have the means to say, well, sorry, I'm gone. Meanwhile, you have these outrageous tax codes that the small business isn't going to do that, but they're now paying and dealing with the same issues that a corporation would. And then that's putting that small business out of business because they can't really afford it, but they also can't just pick up and move to another country where they can get cheap labor. You know what I mean? Not that they would want to. But so it is to me, I don't understand why the tax code isn't very clear in regards to differentiating between a business that has 15 employees from a corporation that has hundreds of thousands, and then having different tax things for each. They just do a blanket thing, and then basically they wipe out the small businesses because small businesses are required to follow it too, and the big corporations just move around, and they have ways of getting around all of this because they have so much money and we don't.
Now, how many people that you have on your payroll?
Well, as of now, I have about, like I said, we got busy in October, so I hired more people again. So I have about 10, but normally I would run with 15 or 16 people.
Wow.
On a normal, without all this, just normal business, about 15 or 16 I employ. So I'm kind of caught in the middle. I'm not like a 2-employee shop, and I'm not, a 100-person shop. I'm like right in the middle.
Wow. Angela, I appreciate you coming on my show today because the whole premise of my show is to educate entrepreneurs and business owners that they can live the life that they truly desire, but they have to be open to these important principles. So I don't like what I see what's on the news. So I create my own news.
Good for you. We need more people speaking truth, you
Absolutely.
know? But
Absolutely.
I will say this, to anybody out there who's thinking about being a small business owner
Mhm.
or has just started, I don't have a 4-year degree. My mom and dad, they dropped out at 16 and had me and worked in factories. But they always said, Angela, look, if you find something you love and you start from the bottom and work your way up, this is what America is great for. You can have and make a difference in your own life. You
Mm,
can change your life and your circumstances because those opportunities are out there. You
mm,
just got to keep going and keep trying. And I've been blessed in that aspect because, you know, I don't have a degree. I've been on welfare. I've been off welfare. I've raised a child on my own. But if you really put in principles of being honest and treating fair and showing up on time and working hard, you can have that dream.
mm.
And that's what I'm fighting for right now. I'm fighting for that not to be erased from our country, because that's what's great about America. You can get a big PhD, and if you're lucky and your family has that money, and you can go on to amazing things, or you cannot and still have an amazing life and still have a part of that apple, that dream.
Mm.
And so I love entrepreneurs, and I think they're the bravest of all. They take the chances, and I hope
Absolutely.
that this doesn't kill them, or kill that
Absolutely.
spirit.
Well, entrepreneurs, they actually stimulate the economy. And
Yep.
we all have to, regroup and pull one another up and, refocus on winning instead of, the pandemic. Angela, let's have a conversation about money. Now, I know money is not value. Money is just a facilitator to do transactions. Can you explain to the audience in your own influential way, how would you define money?
um Money does give you security, obviously, so it's needed. But there is something that I learned that to me is more valuable. Okay. When I was a single mom here in LA, I had to learn to depend on other people. So other single moms, we would do co-op sharing of babysitting because it was expensive. And I've always believed that if your intentions are good and you're helping others, it will come back threefold.
Mm,
So money is very important. I think there's a lack of education on how to handle your money. It's very important that you put time and energy into learning how to budget and learning how to invest. I'm still learning that myself. I don't even have a retirement. And I'm learning the value of the education of that.
mm,
But what I have learned in my life is if you are always helping others when you can, even when you're down, even when I was at my worst, I was trying to feed the hospitals. If you're always giving, it comes back threefold,
mm,
and you will always be okay. The money will follow if you lead with integrity, if you do what you say, if you say, instead of I need this, how can I help you? It is amazing how money will show up,
mm,
and you have faith. For me, any financial person would have told me at the beginning, bail out. You're going to take out a loan when you're losing money every month. You don't know what's going to happen with COVID. You're never going to get caught up. You need to bail out.
mm,
But I trusted the universe, God, whatever your belief is,
mm,
that no, this is important to my community. This is their memories. This is where they connect. And my kitchen staff's been there since 1978. And I don't know how I'm going to come through this. And I don't know when or where, or if the money's going to come, but I believe in doing the right thing. And this is the right thing. And I have to do this. And then one day at a time, and then see how it unfolds. Again, I have a Christmas miracle. It wasn't planned, it wasn't intentional, but that's how I've led my heart in my business. And the money, people want to help people that care about people. And we're all connected. So You don't need a lot of money to accomplish your dreams. But when you do get the money, you need to know how to manage it, which is something I've had to learn over time, because I would love to give it all away. You know what I mean? Just because that's just who I am, you know? But Tony Robbins, actually, I love that guy. I went to a couple of his seminars, and he really gets your mind set on the right stuff, you know?
Yes, yes. He actually shifted your paradigm. You said that
Yes.
the money will follow, and I'm on your side, and God is on your side. So would you say
God
that
is.
money is the byproduct of the value that you uncover?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. You just gave me goosebumps. Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Angela, I wrote down some powerful words, 10 being the highest and one being the lowest. So you can read them in your own powerful way. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Perseverance.
Number one.
10 the highest, one the lowest.
Oh, 10's the highest? 10. Never
Intel-
give up.
intellectual property.
Well, intellectual property is more of a business question. I'd say 9 or 10.
Family.
10.
Love.
You're asking me that, like, these are the most important. 10. 10.
Marriage.
Marriage, I'd say 7.
Value.
Value, 10.
COVID-19.
How do I rate that on a scale of 1 to 10? In what sense?
And in regards to recovering from the pandemic.
How important it is to recover from the pandemic?
Yes.
10.
Solutions.
10.
Sales.
There's nothing without solutions.
Absolutely. Sales.
What was it?
Sales.
Sales? Okay. From the way I do business, that's really, really, really hard, because I don't focus on the sales. I focus on the people, and then the sales follow. So from a business standpoint, you know, if you take your heart out of it, it's a 10, because you need the sales to survive, and they're important. From the other business end, and my end is hospitality, and sales will follow. So I would say an 8, because if you're doing the other things, sales will just happen.
Integrity.
Not 10. I want to say number 1, because it's 10. 10, 10, 10, 10 times 3.
Health.
10. These are all 10s. You need all these.
Wealth.
Well, for me, I would say wealth is like an 8, because wealth can be defined in many ways. You know, some people will say you're the wealthiest man in the world if you have friends. You know, wealth is, if you have wealth, you're in a position that hopefully you can take that and help others. But wealth doesn't depict happiness.
All right, that was good. That was real good, Angela. Can you explain to the audience exactly where they can find you and your social media handles?
Yeah, I actually, believe it or not, I don't even have my own social media as far as Twitter or whatever, but they can find me through Pineapple Hill Saloon on Instagram, and PH Saloon on Twitter, and PH Saloon on Facebook. And on my Instagram for the Pineapple Hill, I am trying to put other businesses up that have their GoFundMe. And I'm trying to promote, you know, other people. So.
To everyone that's listening and watching right now, follow the beautiful Angela Marsden. You hear the passion that came through her voice on my show today. Angela, do you have any last pearls of wisdom for the audience?
Nope, just don't give up. If you
Mm.
feel, if you know, God is real. If you listen carefully, he will speak to you. And if you have a passion for something, do not give up. Don't give up. There's hope and you will get there. I promise you, you'll get there. You know, and in this holiday season, I would like to say if people, suicide is very high, overdoses are very high, please just reach out to people. Even the people who you think don't need it the most. You know, give them a hug, say, hey, how are you doing? Do you got this? Do you need some help? It's really, really important right now.
Mm. Angela, I'd like to thank you once again for taking time out of your busy schedule to educate me and the audience
Yeah.
worldwide about your phenomenal restaurant, Pineapple Saloon and Grill, and about what you're going through in regards to the shutdown with your restaurant. I gladly appreciate it. You are a gift from God.
Thank you. You too. Keep doing what you're doing.
I am. And I got to get you coming back on the show so we can talk more in depth about the shutdown and the recovery of entrepreneurs and business owners where they are scaling up.
Yeah, definitely.
To everyone that's listening and watching right now, get involved with the beautiful Angela Marsden and connect with her on Instagram. And she has a powerful video that's going viral right now in regards to the pandemic. And we're definitely going to find a solution to this problem in
Yep.
regards to her business getting back up and running, among other business owners in California. So, to everyone that's listening and watching right now, remember that the strongest asset each and every one of you have is your brain and what you think about and what you take action on that will become your reality. And your mentality creates your reality. May God bless each and every one of you. And bye for now. Thank you, Angela. I gladly
Amen.
appreciate you sharing your story
Thank
with my
you.
audience.
Thank you, and have a good day, okay?
All right,
Happy
you too.
holidays.
Well, happy holidays to you and your family as well.
Thank you.
Have a pleasant day, everyone.
Thank you so much. I'm going to disconnect.
All right. Thank you,
I
Angela. I
appreciate
appreciate
you.
you. All
God
righty.
bless.
And I'll be sending
Thank
this
you.
video out to you as well.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.